Hi guys, my name is Sarah Townley. I'm a Youth Program Associate with the University of Missouri Extension. And today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about a food science lesson and microwave magic. So this is the introduction into cooking with a microwave. And you can really do a lot more than you think when it comes to microwave cooking. So this lesson is good for really truly anyone who wants to learn how to cook quick, easy meals, or maybe cook without using the stove or the oven. This is especially good for kids or teenagers who might be trying to gain some more independence, cook their own meals, independent from mom and dad, or maybe mom and dad are gone a lot and the kids are home alone, and this is safer than cooking on the stovetop. And when you think of cooking in the microwave, you might just think of things like heating up a frozen dinner or a can of SpaghettiOs or a microwave popcorn. But really, there's a lot of healthy options and good nutritious foods that you can cook in the microwave. And so we'll go ahead, we'll talk a little bit about the science behind microwaves, how they work, and then we will cook a recipe using the microwave, and I'll show you how. So really quickly, before we get started talking about the microwave, it's always important to talk about kitchen and food safety. So we'll have a little bit of review. It's kind of like a pop quiz. Don't panic too much if you didn't study for the pop quiz. It's just to see how much you know. So first things first, foodborne illnesses cause how many people to get sick every year in the United States? Just take a guess. So the answer is 48 million. And kind of to put this into perspective, the US population, most recent data at the time I'm filming this video, in 2019, the US Census Bureau recorded the US population at 328 million people, over 328 million people. So if 48 million people get sick because of foodborne illnesses every year, that's more than 10% of the population of the US every year. So of those 48 million, 128,000 are hospitalized because of foodborne illnesses, and 3,000 people die. So this isn't really necessarily to scare you, but it is a little bit scary that 3,000 people die because of foodborne illnesses every year. And sometimes that is the responsibility of something that that person did, or it may be someone else's fault. But either way, that kind of puts into perspective just how serious food safety and following the proper guidelines are. So one of the things that you can do to keep from spreading bacteria is to keep separate cutting boards for blank and blank. All right, do you have your answer? Meat and produce. We should always keep separate cutting boards for meat and produce. You might have said meat and fruit, meat and vegetables, either one works. So I would also highly suggest, especially for meat, keeping a plastic cutting board. Designate a plastic cutting board for meat rather than wood. You can use plastic or wood for produce, but since if you cut raw meat, especially on a wooden cutting board, then that wood is very porous and it's going to soak up the juice that comes out of the raw meat. So I would suggest using a plastic cutting board since it's easier to clean and it won't store that bacteria when you use your cutting board for meat. Blank fresh fruits and vegetables with blank blank before using. You should wash fresh fruits and vegetables with running water before you prepare them, whether that's if you're eating them fresh, raw, like if you're cutting up maybe an apple or a bell pepper, or you're cutting a stalk of celery into bite-sized pieces. You always want to wash them with running water before you use them, whether you're cooking them or not. So some other food safety tips: don't touch your nose, mouth, or hair with your hands while you're cooking. I know sometimes that's kind of a thing that we do without really thinking about it, but try to be conscious of whether or not you're touching your nose, mouth, or your hair while you're wearing gloves, when you're not wearing gloves. If you are wearing gloves and you happen to, say, rub your nose or scratch your eye, then you need to throw those away and get a new pair of gloves. If you're just using your bare hands, you need to go back and wash your hands properly after that. You also, if you have long hair, need to tie it back to keep it out of your face and also to keep it out of the food so hairs don't fall in the food. Another thing you should try to do is not sneeze or cough in the food. And so it's not only good, you probably know, to sneeze in your elbow when you have to sneeze. I personally prefer to sneeze into my shirt, to pull it up over my nose and mouth if I can feel the sneeze coming. Not only is it important to cover your mouth when you sneeze, but also try to turn your face away from the food, just for that extra level of caution, trying to keep the sneeze or cough out of the food. You also want to clean and wash food prep areas, utensils, and equipment after use. I would also suggest wiping things down before, wiping the counters down before you cook, making sure all your equipment is freshly washed before you use it, and then cleaning everything down after you use it so that bacteria doesn't stay on there. You also want to wipe dirt or dust from your cans, boxes, and bottles before you use them. So now that we've talked a little bit about food and kitchen safety, which is important no matter how or what we're cooking, let's talk about the magic of a microwave, how they work, how food is cooked, and a little bit of understanding of how we need to use them and how they might be different from other methods. So the science of a microwave. We don't want to talk about heat science. You may be familiar with some of this from your science class at school. So how a stove top or a range cooks food is through heat coils. Now this could be, or I guess burners. The electric coil if you have an electric stove, or a gas burner if you have a gas stove. Either one of those is going to cook the pan, the pot or pan that you're using, and the pan is going to be what warms and cooks the food. So the stovetop heats the pan cooks the food. That's how a stovetop works. Now an oven also has coils or a heat source within the oven. If it's electrical, it's just going to be a heated coil. If it's a gas stove, then it'll have a source of flame that heats the air in the oven, and the heated air is what cooks the food. That's what baking is. And then how a microwave cooks the food is that energy that the microwave produces, those waves, that's why it's called a microwave, causes the molecules in the food to rub and vibrate against one another. This causes friction, which causes heat. And the heat caused by the friction is what cooks the food. So some other science that maybe you've learned in school when it comes to heat is that there are different heat types: conduction, convection, and induction. So conduction is direct heat. This is like sauteing, broiling, and grilling. So this is whenever your food is in direct contact with a heat source or with something hot. Convection is indirect heat. So baking and steaming are considered convection because they are not touching the actual source of heat, but heated air. So you may be thinking that your oven has a convection setting on it, a baking setting and a convection setting, or you may have seen in an industrial kitchen that they have what's called a convection oven. So if baking is already considered convection, why is there a convection setting? Well, when it comes to settings on your oven, baking is just where the oven heats the air and then the air cooks your food, and convection ovens, or ovens that have a convection setting, have an extra fan in there that blows the heated air around and circulates it more. So that's what convection baking is. And then induction is electromagnetic induction, and what that is heating by magnetic waves to create electricity and generate heat. So if you've heard of induction cooktops, or you've seen advertised cooktops that are supposed to be cool to the touch, that's what those are, is induction cooktops. So they heat by direct contact through electromagnetic waves. So you probably have heard of a watt, and that is a microwave's unit of power. And so microwaves come in different wattages, and the standard wattages that you're going to find, the most common for microwaves, are a 700 watt microwave or an 1100 watt microwave, although microwaves can range anywhere from 650 watts to 1200 watts. So the higher the number of watts, the faster the food will cook. And we'll discuss this here in a couple slides, but you can actually, on most microwaves, adjust the level of power that a microwave is cooking your food at. And if you want to know how to determine how many watts your microwave is, generally, you can open the door on your microwave And on the front, like above or below the opening to the microwave inside the door, you can find a label that will tell you how many watts the microwave is. If your microwave is old, if you've had it a long time, then the sticker may have come off, but that is generally how you tell how many watts a microwave is there's a label once you open the door. So some microwave safety tips. The first one is never run the microwave empty. The reason for this is that it can actually cause damage to your microwave. So we discussed a little bit about how microwaves cook things. And so scientifically, the energy that is generated by the microwave that's intended to cook the food has to be absorbed by something. And if that energy that's created by the microwave is not absorbed by the food, then the energy is going to be absorbed by the components of the microwave, which damages it. So at the very least, if for whatever reason you have to run your microwave, but you're not cooking anything, at a minimum, put a cup of water in the microwave so there's something there to absorb that energy. Also, never operate a damaged microwave and never try to repair a microwave yourself. I also want to mention that if for whatever reason your microwave is operating, the feature that causes it to not operate when the door is open is not working, don't ever operate a microwave with the door open. That's dangerous. Additionally, only use microwave safe dishes. Generally, when in doubt, a dish, especially if it's plastic, will have on the bottom of it or somewhere on it if it is microwave or dishwasher safe. Glass is pretty much always a safe bet, but not always, so try to make sure. And never use metal dishes or utensils. You guys probably know not to use like a metal dish or to leave a fork in the microwave, but you also want to make sure you never put foil in the microwave. And not only foil that you might have in your house, like a roll of aluminum foil, but you also want to make sure like fast food wrappers for a burger or a burrito, if they have foil on them, you don't want to put them in the microwave. You want to use pot holders when removing your dishes from the microwave, because even if they're microwave safe, they can be hot. And you also want to remove dish or food coverings carefully. And we'll talk about covering your food, why we do it here, and how to do it at the end in a couple slides. And the reason you want to be careful when you're removing food coverings is because steam can burn you. So you won't always want to try to remove it the side that's facing away from you first, if that makes sense, the side that's farthest from you. So generally, when it comes to power levels in the microwave, you're probably not used to having to adjust what level that you're cooking your food at. But food that's intended to be microwaved, such as maybe vegetables or frozen dinners or frozen meals that are microwave meals, or if you're following any kind of microwave cooking recipe at all, the instructions will tell you what heat level you should be cooking your food on. And so that third from the left column where it says high, medium, medium low, and low, those are generally the words that will be used in the instructions for a microwave cooking recipe. But this chart will help you determine maybe if your microwave has settings that are on the two there on the left, that'll help you determine how to set your microwave. And so again, this type of cooking is over there on the right. This is just kind of a helpful chart for how to cook whatever food it is that you're going to cook in the microwave. So, covering food. I don't know if you have seen the thing that's in the picture here on the right. Covering food prevents splatters and spills, first of all. You've probably had something that you've just stuck in the microwave, like SpaghettiOs. If you put SpaghettiOs in the microwave without covering them, or leftovers like spaghetti, something that's messy like red sauce or any kind of soup, or so on or so forth. If it gets hot enough, especially if you don't stir it, it will pop and splatter all over the microwave and make a mess. You may have gotten yelled at by your mom or dad for that before. Additionally, depending on what you're cooking, covering your food can help keep it moist by keeping the steam in there. And it also helps to cook your food evenly. you've probably heated something up in the microwave before, and then the outside was piping hot, and then the inside was still cold or frozen. So that is one thing that covering your food when you put it in the microwave will help with. And so there are a couple of different ways you can cover your food when it's in the microwave. So the plastic cover that's on the right that you may have at your house or you may have seen before, that will help do all three of those things. It will prevent your food from splattering, and it will keep your food moist and cook it evenly. Putting saran wrap over a dish, such as if you're cooking vegetables or reheating leftovers, putting saran wrap over your bowl will help with that as well. Now, if you are not necessarily concerned about keeping your food moist or cooking it evenly, but you mostly want to prevent splatters and spills, you can lay a paper towel over your plate or bowl, and that will help you prevent making a mess in your microwave. So now that we kind of discussed the different science behind microwave cooking and some microwave safety, now we'll head to the kitchen and I'll show you guys how to cook a healthy meal in the microwave. All right, guys, so we're in the kitchen, and what I'm going to teach you guys to make today is bacon and eggs. Now, there are a number of other things you can make in the microwave. A lot of things that are healthy choices. Anything from meats, vegetables, desserts, snacks, full course meals. We all have resources for all that stuff in 4-H. So if you want more information about foods you can cook in the microwave, contact your local county extension office. So first I'll run through all the things you're going to need. Of course, you're going to need a microwave. That's what this whole lesson is about. Package of bacon. Now, this kind of depends on how many people that you're cooking for. I am just cooking for myself, so I'm just going to cook 4 strips of bacon and 2 eggs. This is my dinner / post-gym protein source. I just got back from the gym less than an hour ago, so that's what I'm going to eat. So this is classic bacon. You could really use any bacon that you wanted to, like a peppered bacon or a turkey bacon. I'm just using Smithfield Original. You're going to need some eggs. Really doesn't matter. I'm using 2 grade A large eggs. This is optional, but I always put a splash of milk in my scrambled eggs. So you can do that if you want to or not. It's up to you. I just prefer to. Salt and pepper for your eggs. I do also want to mention that making scrambled eggs in the microwave, you can also add any kind of veggies that you want to, like diced tomatoes, green peppers, onions, mushrooms, raw spinach, or you can add some cheese into it. So your preference. I'm not adding anything other than salt and pepper and a dash of milk. Cooking spray, nonstick spray is always good to have for the bowl that you're going to cook your eggs in. A plate to cook your bacon with, and the one that I'm using is actually not just a glass plate, which you can use. That's totally fine. Mine, if you can see it, is actually a plate that's made for cooking bacon specifically. So if you have a plate that looks like this, that's what that's for. You'll need a bowl to cook your eggs in, and either a fork or a whisk to beat them with, and some cling wrap, some saran wrap to put over the bowl that your eggs are in, and then plate and fork to eat your bacon and eggs with. So really quickly, I'm going to grab a knife to open the bacon package with. And side note, you do always want to be careful with using knives. You can also use scissors if that's what you have on hand or what you're allowed to use. So you might be familiar with the term dovetailing, and that is getting a certain number of ends, specifically when we're cooking, getting all of our food to be done cooking at one time. So I'm going to cook my bacon first because we're going to prep the eggs while the bacon's in the microwave because it's going to cook for longer than the eggs will. So what I'm going to do is, these are actually a little bit long for my bacon plate. So I'm going to take 2 full strips of bacon and cut them each in half. So I'll have 4 half strips of bacon. All right, and we're going to put our bacon over there. And then lay it out flat on your plate. And then really quickly, I'm going to wash my hands since I have raw bacon on it. I'm going to touch the microwave and things. I do also want to mention that I wash my hands before beginning, and I also wipe down this table that I'm cooking on before I started to make sure my surfaces are all clean. These are all clean dishes and everything. So I also wanted to mention that you should probably have paper towels on hand to clean up with, and because we're going to cover our bacon with it. So with bacon, we're going to try and get it crispy, so we're not worried about keeping the moisture in or anything. We just want to make sure the bacon grease doesn't pop all over the microwave. So you're going to put paper towels over your bacon plate. And you may have to adjust this recipe depending on the wattage of your microwave, like we talked about. Mine is 1,000 watts, and I'm going to cook my bacon for 3 minutes. So first, I'm going to put my bacon on for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and then when that's done, I'll flip it and go another 30 seconds. All right, so now that that's done, we're going to prep our eggs. So I'm going to spray this bowl that I'm using with nonstick spray, and then crack the eggs into it. You always want to make sure that you don't get shells in your egg. All right, now I'm going to cook 2 eggs. I'm just cooking for myself, but you can cook as many as you want to, but you just have to get a bigger bowl if you're cooking, say, 8, 10, a dozen. So again, I have raw eggs on my hands, so I'm going to go wash my hands before I touch anything else. You'll also notice, like we talked about, I am not touching my face with my hands, and my hair is also put back. So that way there's no face or hair or anything that's going to get in our food if I can avoid it. All right, so first, and bacon's been in the microwave for over a minute now, and I can start to smell it. I'm gonna beat my eggs a little bit, just the eggs. And then I'm going to add a splash of milk and my salt and pepper. This is probably, I would say, 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of milk. So a little bit. There's not much salt left in this container. Season to your liking. Like I said, I'm just putting salt and pepper in these eggs. You can hear my bacon popping, so it's a good thing that bacon always pops when it cooks, but it's a good thing I have my paper towels on here. Keep the eggs nice and fluffy. And then take this fork, and I'm going to put it in the sink because if you've washed, know it has raw egg on it. And then I'm going to take my cling wrap. And cover my bowl of eggs, but I am going to poke a couple holes with my fork, just so it can steam out. This is a clean fork. Just pop it a couple times. And then also I'm going to take this out of the microwave. It's almost done. It's getting red and crispy. It's sticking to my paper towel. I'm just going to flip it. It is almost done. Like, it's almost completely done as it is. I'm just going to flip it and let it get a little crispier. So I'm going to put it in the microwave for another 30 seconds on this side. And it could be just because I have it on this bacon plate. If you're cooking it just on a regular plate like this one I have here, a glass plate, it probably wouldn't get as crispy as fast. So the flipping it would probably be more necessary. So we're going to let that go another 30 seconds, and then we'll take that out. And if you're cooking this meal for your whole family, you can take the bacon out of the microwave and cover it with foil so it stays hot while the eggs are in the microwave. But bacon's bad is not as bad, about cooling off as scrambled eggs are, so that's why we're cooking it first. So for these scrambled eggs, when you cook scrambled eggs in the microwave, you always want to start with a minute and then stir it and fluff it with your fork. And if it's still not cooked completely, then you can put it in for another 20 to 30 seconds and fluff it again. And you want to cook it until it's just a little bit glossy, but not wet, if that makes sense. Because if you cook it until there's no glossiness or sheen at all, then it's too dry and you've overcooked your eggs. So we've got the bacon out, we're gonna put the eggs in. So we're gonna start by cooking it for 1 minute, and then we're gonna stir it, fluff it, and it's probably gonna need about 30 seconds. And you just repeat 20 to 30 seconds, fluff, 20 to 30 seconds, fluff until it's cooked to your liking. All right, now, I am getting ready to eat this right now, and I'm not concerned about my bacon cooling off. I'm gonna throw that away. So I'm going to take my plate that I'm going to eat my food on and put my bacon on the plate. And then set this off to the side. This will need to cool before we can wash it. I also want to make a point of saying, when you do cook meat, whether that's bacon or hamburger or any meat that is going to put out grease, and whether you're cooking it in the microwave or the stovetop, you never want to rinse or pour grease down the drain of your sink. You always want to let it cool, and you can absorb it with paper towels or scoop it in your trash and wipe it clean and get as much of the grease out before you wash it, because if you pour grease down your drain, it will clog your pipes. Even if you rinse it down with hot water, it will clog the pipes somewhere else down the line. So always make sure that you're not dumping grease down the drain of your sink. All right, move this out of the way. I'm gonna get a clean towel. And I will actually use this fork, and then I'll just get another one when I'm ready to eat, because eggs are still a little bit raw. It's cooked kind of around the edges, because we kind of discussed in the video, that's what microwaves tend to do. They don't cook the middle as fast as they do the edges. So we're just gonna stir this. And I'm gonna set it on the bacon plate since I have to wash that. We're gonna put that cover back on and microwave it for another 30 seconds. So what I may do is, while my eggs are cooking, so you guys don't have to keep waiting and listening to me talk, I'm gonna go ahead and cook these, fluff them, cook them, fluff them until they're done. I'll edit that part out and I'll come back to you guys whenever my eggs are completely cooked. All right, so I'm back, my eggs are done, and I'm going to put them on my plate and eat them, and I'll show them to you guys. I'm gonna open my cling wrap this way so the steam can escape over there. And again, I'll show them to you. There's still a little bit of moisture to them, but they're not runny, if that makes sense. So, go ahead, grab them with my clean towel, and scoop them onto my plate. I'm getting on my bacon. All right, so I'll bring this up closer to the camera so you can see. You can maybe see how the eggs are a little shiny, but not runny. They're done. And how my bacon looks perfectly crisp. And this is all done in the microwave. So you can cook healthy and nutritious meals in the microwave. And this is just one example, something that's easy. If you want a fast, protein-packed breakfast in the morning, if you're like me tonight and you need a good protein-packed meal after the gym, this is a good one. But like I said, you can contact your local extension office, because 4-H has numerous microwave recipes, from meats and whole dinners to vegetables to desserts and snacks and plenty of things that are healthy and nutritious. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.